Hey everyone, my name is Cameron Caffrey and welcome back to what I like to call the Cozy Corner here on YouTube, where we like to discuss everything about film photography, and cameras and film in general. I hope you guys have been well. Do you see those Spider-Man covers in the background there? I've had that since I was like 4. Just thought I'd share. 2025 has been just a very random year for me, where so many unexpected things happened, and one of the main things that has been the highlight of this year so far is just the amount of times I've traveled. I think I've been to around 5 or 6 countries so far this year, and I'm actually already planning my next trip to take place in like a month or 2. And I'm just insanely grateful because of all of the experiences that I've had being exposed to these new cultures and all these new stories, and of course the amazing photography opportunities just from traveling around the world. My most recent trip took place a few weeks to around a month or so ago, and that was in the very stunning Hong Kong.
Sonia and the rest of the crew, thank you for flying food airplanes.
Visiting Hong Kong was definitely not in the list of my plans for this year. Even Dubai and like a lot of the other countries, basically anywhere else but the Philippines. I wasn't expected to go there. You see, one of my closest friends, Nick, who I've known for around 6 years now, was actually raised in Hong Kong, and I believe he was even born there. Let me call this guy. Yeah, this guy's not answering. I swear he's my friend, I promise you. And despite meeting in the Philippines, he's always told me for the longest time, whenever he is in Hong Kong, to go and visit him and to just really immerse myself in the culture there. Nick and his siblings, Jamie and Abby, grew up in an area in Hong Kong called Sai Kung, but Nick currently lives in an area called Tai Po, or Tai Po Market, which is more on like the outskirts of Hong Kong. It's literally one of the last stops on the MTR or the metro. Okay, my favorite places to go to is Kowloon Tong, and then from there I would go to Mong Kok. I spend a lot of time in Mong Kok, and where I'm staying right now with one of my closest friends is all the way in Tai Po Market. You can't even see Tai Po Market. It's funny because when I told people in Hong Kong that we were staying at Tai Po, they were all like, wow, that's so far, why don't you stay closer to the center? It's just so inconvenient that you're so far out. But I saw it's quite the opposite, because Tai Po was a very, very peaceful area and not a lot goes on there. I think the loudest, busiest section there is just the market, and which market is not busy, you know? It has a very peaceful presence to it where time just moves slower there, and if you want to have more of an exciting, upbeat day, for example, you just take like a 10-minute metro ride and you're in the center of Hong Kong. We were quite hungry after that nap because we barely ate anything all day, so Nick was like, okay, we'll have an early dinner outside, let me show you around the neighborhood, and I take you to one of my favorite places to eat at Tai Po Market. Almost instantly, as soon as I turned into that market, it hit me right away. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm in flipping Hong Kong at the moment. Like, that's insane. But I remember thinking to myself, like, this feels like a set, but it's not, this is the real thing. And I was just hit by a lot of gratitude, and instantly I started snapping on my Canon A1. All of the photos on this trip were shot on my Canon A1 with my 50mm lens. Yeah, that was my first roll of film that you just saw, was Kodak Ultramax, which I think is a great roll of film. I think it's a very cheap option for Kodak Portra, for example, Portra 400, Portra 800. But I will say I'm a sucker for warm tones, so gold and color plus definitely do follow closely behind. But let's discuss some of the photos here. I have my laptop in front of me, and this first photo that I shot was just us waiting at zebra crossing, but I really did enjoy the green on top as well as the Chinese writing, the contrast of the two stalls, you know, one being more food and nuts and the other just purely clothing. But I think this is just me being excited that I was in Hong Kong. I was like, this looks cool, let me snap it. And I was like, okay, wait, let me take a step back, how can I make this more interesting? And I saw some taxis go by and some cars, and I was like, let me wait for one to go by. And that's when I got this shot here where I got the tail end of a taxi. I like how the side part of it is yellow because I think it really does complement the green on top, and if you look closely, the boot of the taxi here at the top there is also green. So in a way, it kind of matched unintentionally. And it's cool how this shot also features people, you know, on the left and the right side of the frame. It kind of adds to the busyness of a shot with the taxi being out of focus, just showing that motion, you know. This photo looked a lot cooler in my head. It looked great in real life, but it was one of those photos where I wasn't able to capture that feeling or that visual through my camera. I always know that if I want a better photo, I have to get closer. And I didn't want to come off as that big-headed tourist that just had his camera and was in your face. So I was trying to like slowly ease into it. As you can see, the light is slightly hitting his face. And I think if I just got closer there, positioned myself where the lights are a wee bit better and hitting his face more, would have been a very cool shot there. Maybe I took it this far because I kind of like the contrast of the red bin. It just pops out a lot more with the green, but who knows. One thing that I've learned is I actually wish I brought my Minolta Uniomat instead of my Canon A1. That's just better for street photography. It's a rangefinder, which means that it's quieter, doesn't have that loud shutter sound of the mirror slapping up. This here is one of my favorite shots of that first day because it's just so unique. There's a random guy eating outside of a restaurant and he has his pet parrot on his shoulder as he's eating. I remember walking past him. I looked back and I was like, is that a bloody parrot? I was like still half awake and waking up. I was like, that's really flipping cool and random. So I took this first shot and it's alright. It's not like a great photo, but the subject is what really makes it. I'm not one of those photographers that would ask somebody to pose because I just hate those shots where people pose, you know. You try to capture a moment and moments are fleeting. So if I were to come up to them and say, can I please take a photo of you, their whole demeanor changes, you know, and it's not the same shot anymore. Funny enough, that first day was actually one of the only days I was really able to spend with Nick because he was working, or like basically the entire time I was there, which was completely fine with me because my favorite way to explore a new country is to just get lost by myself, get a random ticket on the bus or the metro somewhere, walk around by myself, have zero plans, and just take my film camera and explore. I think that's the best way to explore a new place that you're visiting. And with Nick at work all day, that's exactly what I did. Again, you can tell that the light leaks issue on my Canon A1 is definitely prominent, but right now it's really not bothering me. I do need to change the light seal soon, but I won't change them until the light leaks really do take up the majority of the photo and really start bothering me there. But right now, I'm still okay with them. This one photo right here of me just looking up the staircase there, I forgot the area, but what I really love about the photos here are just the neon or lit up signs there on the left hand side. The light leaks actually add to that and complement it also, and the photo has some structure too, where you can see that it goes uphill. You can see the stairs there, the lady walking up the stairs and people passing by. It's one of those photos that I enjoy looking at because there's quite a few things to look at. Shortly after that, I saw this group of girls who looked super cool, and I think that's the thing about Hong Kong that I love. The people there look so cool, like the way they dress, the way they carry themselves, their hairstyles, their tattoos. And it wasn't until I got this photo back that I saw this one older lady here on the right hand side of the frame. And just looking back at this photo now, I really do like the juxtaposition of this photo. You can even see the divide there with that light leak. You know, a young group of girls in their late teens to early 20s smoking, and then this older lady here who's living a completely different life, I assume. She's just in a completely different part of the frame. It's even separated through the colors and the light leaks, which is sick. I may be reaching there, but that's how I see it. I love this photo after a long day of walking around in areas I had no clue where I was, and getting out of a train, I saw this gentleman carrying his son or his grandson on his back who was just fast asleep. This was around rush hour and everyone was so tired, and I thought that was so sweet. Like, this was a very last minute photo. Everyone was walking so fast and I just had to capture it. It's just a very sweet moment that I'm happy I captured. Alright, so one area of Hong Kong that I do remember because I went there one too many times is an area called Mong Kok.
You're so Filipino.
There were so many things in Mong Kok. I bought like a little Kuromi stuffed toy thing in like a plastic let me show you. I bought this. I think it's a Kuromi. I bought another one for my niece, so my niece and I are matching, but I got this because it was like a nice little souvenir, and to say that I got it in Hong Kong, it's quite cool. Grown-ass man with like a Kuromi plushie hanging from his bag. I particularly love how gritty this photo looks to me. Like the graffiti in the background, the overpopulated amount of signs in the top right corner. And I initially took this shot just because I like the subject of the two other women here and the bond that they showed when I first saw them. I like how you can see the reflection of a woman in the white in the yellow banner there. This photo just offers a lot of color. Like there's two different colored light leaks here, but what I really do enjoy as well is how the light is just hitting the plastic coverings of those clothes, making it look more shiny and pop out more. But what I think really makes this photo here is that yellow banner and the plastic coverings of those clothes. Now this is arguably one of my favorite shots from the entire trip. What I'm trying to do now with my photo, my film work, is capture just real photography, you know, real moments like I mentioned that are fleeting, tell stories through my shots. And I've been really drawn to subjects that aren't necessarily beautiful or really nice to look at, but rather, oh, that's interesting. And I walked past this lady who had some sort of bandaging over her right eye. I tried to push myself to be a wee bit closer this time, and there was a gentleman in front of her, but I angled it while I was still able to capture her. Overall, I'm quite happy with this shot. Like, she's in focus enough, and the gentleman isn't fully in the way, and you can see that I was in a rush to take this photo because my thumb or my fingers in the bottom right frame here. And just looking at the photo now, you can read a lot into her facial expression and her body language and the little details around the photo as well, where you can see Spa, the neon lights in the top left corner there. There's a lot to look at here too, but it's clear what the subject is, and overall I'm just super happy with this shot. This photo here is an interesting one because I'm not too keen on shooting buildings. I'm very much more into portraits and shooting people, but this just looked so interesting to me because it kind of was a representation of what I said of how people in Hong Kong really do make up the most of the space that's available there. And you can see here just how the buildings are shaped and the colors and the air conditioners and the bamboos. It has a lot of character, and I think I framed this in a very nice way where I was able to use the signs of the left hand side as well to just give it a nice structure and frame it nicely. And in Hong Kong, no matter what, there's always like a subtle neon light that pops up every now and then. Like, look at the bottom center here, you have like the blue lights and then the red and green one. They always just happen to make an appearance. Yeah, I actually don't remember taking this photo. I saw my road and I was like, cool. I don't know if I mentioned this about Hong Kong, but one thing that I absolutely love is just how unapologetically themselves the people are there. You can tell that they don't follow the crowd and they have a lot of originality with them. And this girl here is just one of the many people that I saw there who looked insanely cool. We were at a zebra crossing together waiting for it to turn green, and her body was actually turned away from me because she was on her phone, and I had my camera ready. I was waiting in portrait mode, waiting for her to turn so I can get the shot. I was literally, I don't know, just a few feet away from her, and as soon as she turned around, I snapped it right away, and I knew that I got something very interesting here. And looking back at this photo, I'm happy I timed it the way I did and the angle I was at, just because with the timing, you've got that big double-decker red bus going in the background. With the angle, I think you see everything that you need to see in order to see her uniqueness and her character. For example, you have her snakebite piercings here, which I think is like a staple piece in her entire look. Her nice little hat. But what's great about this and what I love about this is that you can't see her eyes. The fact that her hair is covering her eyes, I think it adds like a sense of mystery to her. Even like with her using what's it called, wired earphones today, it just is dope. The way she carries herself, I love it. I think it may have been my third day there when I met up with Abby, who is Nick and Jamie's little sister. She was so sweet enough to take a day off work just to show me around, and this was actually a day before she flew to Thailand. So Abby, if you're watching this, I appreciate you. And Abby was kind enough to take me to a very touristy area there called the Peak, which basically is in its name the Peak of Hong Kong, where you just get a great view of the city. This shot here was a weird one. I'm not too sure why I took this. There were these group of girls next to us taking a photo of this doll here, this creepy ass looking doll against the view. I was like, I don't get it, but it's cool that you guys are into this. So I just took a shot of it as well on my film camera just because I felt compelled to. I'm pretty sure this was my best shot from the peak just because of how low the clouds sat. I love the amount of green and nature in this and how the buildings just randomly pop out from the green and nature. There's some depth there with another mountain in the background. Overall, I think this was a very well balanced photo too. I was quite happy with this. We got some nice shots of Abby in the peak here. I told her to pose. She looks like she's on an episode of MMK right now. What I love about this photo in particular, if I zoom in here, is the grain. The grain here is so nice. Like it's strong for sure, and it was a very overcast day, and I just love how although it is strong, it's also quite soft at the same time. Spent the rest of the day walking around, and Abby knew that I was a massive fan of Chungking Express. If you guys don't know, Chungking Express is a film by Mong Kok, and it was shot in Hong Kong. I do film photography here on YouTube, but I'm originally a film director. I've been a film director since about 2018 or so, and Chungking Express had a really big impact on me growing up. Knowing that it was shot and directed there, I knew that I had to go to some of the areas where they did shoot a lot of those scenes, and of course one of them was Chungking Mansions, which was the opening scene for Chungking Express, and it was like a very gritty area, and Abby again was so kind enough to take me there, and it was surreal being there where one of my favorite films of all time was shot. It's pretty much the exact same where I walked through Chungking Mansions. Again, it's kind of a dodgy area. It felt like I was actually in the opening scene of a film because Hong Kong, as you know, just has such a rich history in cinema. I wanted to have a moment there where I just fully took it in. One thing that was very cool was that Abby actually had a friend there named Michelle, who was a tattooist, and she was actually sweet enough to squeeze me in for a quick tattoo appointment where she tattooed a can of crushed pineapples on my arm in reference to the film Chungking Express. So knowing that I have a Chungking Express tattoo that was done in Hong Kong, I'm happy. I am so happy. Just a few more photos to mention here. There are two photos here that have some sort of double exposure going on, and that mainly happens when your film isn't tugged properly when loading it, and I suppose mine wasn't in the spools properly. It wasn't tight enough. They kind of overlap with some shots, and this is what's happened here with these two photos. But then again, kind of worked to my favor. I'm very happy with how they came out, especially these two guys eating ramen. It's very peaceful. You can look down a narrow alleyway, you see these people eating these ramen noodles, and it's kind of like a quieter area compared to the main street where everything's so busy and loud. This is kind of like showing those two areas in one photo here. These two guys are doing a quiet bowl of ramen together, and you can see the bustling street just right on top of them. The rain really picked up for a while, and people were running up and down the street, and I was with Abby under some sort of like shelter. With people running, it was quite hard to capture them without it being blurry and such. But this here is such a cute photo of of a mum and her son in his raincoat. I thought that was adorable, and he has his little sword as well. Same thing here, basically the same subject of such a sweet photo of a mum and her daughter under the umbrella. But I love how they're more in focus here, and the background is really moving a lot faster compared to the two of them. I also wish that the photo of the camera itself was a bit lower. Like, I think I could have leveled it out more. Overall, I think what really makes this photo is how she's centered. There's two people on each side of her, and it really does even it out, and how all of them have umbrellas. I actually really like this photo now that I'm looking at it. This This was one of my last nights in Hong Kong, and it was actually Nick's day off, which was very cool. He actually made me extend my stay by another week or so, just so that I can catch him on a day off. He's like, Cameron, you've been here for like a week and a half. I haven't had a day off with you. My day off's coming up. You're going to extend your stay. He introduced me to his friend Matty, and they took me to their drinking spot, which is like this harbor area where there's so many boats. And I've got to say, I've been to a lot of spots where people just hang out to have a beer or so, and this is one of the best spots I've been to because it's so peaceful. The boats were there, we can see the ocean or the lake. Being able to sit down and hang out with Nick and talk to his friends that he grew up with, being introduced to a different side of his life I wasn't able to experience before, it was a beautiful moment, man. So Nick, if you're watching this, thank you. I appreciate you having me over there in Hong Kong and really looking after me and introducing me to your world and your friends there, and I will be back way before you know it.
You know, Cameron, I just wanted to say something from the bottom of my heart. I could not clean my house with you in it. I'm joking, brother.
Hong Kong is special to me because it feels like a place without a fundamental center, which is really shown in Chungking Express. And that's how I feel where I am in my life now, because I'm constantly traveling to different countries. Been all over the UK right now, Dubai, Philippines, Hong Kong. My life's all over the place. And it felt like Hong Kong really just symbolized and represented that in a way, which was very beautiful how life put me there in this moment in my life right now. But yeah, that's the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I thank you guys so much for watching and joining me again in this cozy corner of YouTube. If you did enjoy this video, please consider liking and subscribing, and follow me on Instagram at @CaffreyCameron, where I post the majority of my film work. I'll see you guys all again really soon.